of the person who's in control. Now, how are you in control of a private trust? You're in control of a third party called a trustee, a fiduciary duty to perform. All right, but you are the creator of the contract. You're called the settler. There are four different names for a person who creates a trust. Please write these down. You're called a settler, grantor, creator, and trustor. Please stop calling the person who operates a trust an executor. That is estate planning. That has nothing to do with trust. Every time you say some shit like that, the executor of my trust, I know you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's called a trustee. I'm sorry, it's called a settler, grantor, trustor, creator. All right? So you are one of those things. You are the settler of the trust. You are creating it. This is what gives you control because you are the one creating the instructions that a trustee is obligated to follow. He has a fiduciary duty. As a matter of fact, if he doesn't follow it, he could go to jail or face very serious consequences. All right. So the trustee, he has to follow the directions, and he also has to keep a record of decisions that he make according to the trust indenture. The directions are called a trust indenture agreement. The word trust indenture is just like the word, like an indentured servant. He becomes like an indentured servant to you. All right. So once you create the indenture agreement and you make it irrevocable, because that's what's powerful. Revocable is not powerful. Revocable doesn't shift liability because the settler retains control. You didn't eliminate all your control. So to have it, when the Rockefellers say own nothing, control everything, that is not possible in a revocable trust. It had to be something irrevocable. But where your power and trust comes in is that you have so carefully drafted the instructions for the trustee that even when you release the property to him, you're not afraid or you're not worried because your directions were so specific, so well thought out, so well that he's going to make money for the trust and you're going to be a beneficiary and you're going to receive a prorated interest of a distribution from that private entity. All right? All right. So I want people to understand that these are ways that this is everything in the public is about taxes and liability. It's business going on all levels. Taxes and liability. Who is liable to pay the tax? Going to prison is a tax. Getting a traffic ticket is a tax. Those are all taxes. You need to take some time to open up a Black's Law dictionary and look up the word tax and stop operating under some sort of presumption that you think you know what the word means because you don't know what a tax is. All right, so it's all a tax that we're dealing with in the public. So status correction, what it's really about is one or two things. It's about tax avoidance instead of tax evasion. Tax avoidance is the ability to arrange your affairs in such a way where you do not create a taxable event or a tax liability. That is a skill that you have to acquire, and one of the best ways of acquiring that skill is learning how to administer a private trust, irrevocable trust. Because in doing that, you learn also how you got to learn a little bit of the tax laws, and you got to learn a little bit of the commercial law. Let's look at it real quick. So you got public and private. This is the public side. This is the private side. Tax law, if you look it up, is public law. So tax law is over here. Over here is contract law. So, as private citizens, all right, everything we do is through a contract. Now, I have a course on SPC University where I have 22 days of trust. I'm about to do another 22 days of trust, so you may want to go over there and sign up because I'm dead serious about what I'm doing this week. In those 22 days of trust, what I show you is how to administer a trust to stay on the private side without incurring liability in the public. Now that's done 100% through contracts, because contract makes the law. All right, so private people, we have to learn how to become masters of contracts. I got a friend, he's a real estate developer, and man, brother knows how to put a contract together. And I think about it all the time. He's an excellent businessman, multi-millionaire, and he's a beast with those contracts. He don't even need an attorney to write his contracts. And that's how all of you are supposed to be. One of the things you're supposed to be mastering as a private citizen is contracts. You're really not supposed to be going to an attorney having them draft your contracts. That's something we as businessmen and women are supposed to be proficient at, and understanding how to gauge in business privately is through contracts. I saw someone saying, yeah, if I loan some money to a family member now, it's going to be through a contract and a promissory note. You're going to give me my money back. I'm going to take you to court. Sounded good to me. I have no problem with that whatsoever. All right. So on the public side, what they're concerned with is taxes. Okay, now the Constitution is also on their side. The Constitution, constitutional law. A lot of people, they get confused about the Constitution. They say, well, I have constitutional rights. No, you don't have constitutional rights. You have what is called constitutionally protected rights, because rights weren't given by the Constitution. Rights were given by the creator of the boundless universe, God. And they put this document together to protect that. They call them substantive rights. You have civil rights and substantive rights. Civil rights derive from the 14th Amendment, which is for the straw man, because the straw man was created by the 14th Amendment. You, as a private citizen, you have what is called substantive rights or God-given rights. And one of the first things that all private citizens do is they engage in contract. Your first contract was with God. It's called a covenant. That contract is the contract you made with God, because it's going to dictate how you're going to conduct yourself in vice versa with your fellow man. Thou shalt not kill. Don't screw nobody's wife. Don't steal nobody's property. All right? That's a contract that you got with God. Some of y'all ain't got it. That's why they consider you a heathen. Let me tell you something. If you don't have a morality that can be traced back to one of the religions, you're going to be looked at as a heathen. And that's what they got you in. Y'all the worst of everyone. The ones that are on here, you don't got, I don't believe in that shit and all that. You lost. And anybody who wants to debate me with that, you're welcome to take the mic, because you're not ready for what I'm going to give to you. All right? Because I get tired of y'all talking about that white man. What's the condition we in if this Bible had never came? You know what? The people who usually say that have never read the Bible. They wouldn't know one word of it if I start throwing. They just want to say, I don't want to use it because that came from the white man, or that's man-made, or some shit like that. They're not wise. They don't possess wisdom. So when they read something, they can't perceive there's only one God and there's only one truth. And you should be able, if your eyes are truly open, you should be able to see that truth in all the religions. If you can't, then you have a very myopic view of the world, my friend. And I would say that you're not enlightened at all, and you definitely haven't been called before God. That's another thing they say, I've been called before God. I say, look, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say called before God. It says many are called, few are chosen. It don't matter if you were called before God. What matters, were you chosen, or you're among the chosen. And the chosen are going to get tested. They're going to get tested. I get so sick of them fake Christians. They say, I will call before God. I just know they don't read the Bible. It says many are called. And they don't ever read the words of Jesus, because of what Jesus said. Many are called, few are chosen. That's in Matthew chapter 24. All right, in case you want. All right, now, the Constitution is over here because this is the trust indenture agreement for the trustees. These people are trustees. Public, they call them trustees. So this is the indenture agreement. If you will take the time to get the Constitution and put it side by side with a trust, it looks exactly the same. The articles and everything, exactly the same, like that. You have the Declaration of Trust, but they call it the preamble. That's a declaration of trust. We, the people of the United States of America, We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain. And y'all remember that? All right, that's called the preamble of the Constitution. It's exactly the same as the Declaration of Trust. And it goes into the articles. That is the delegation of authority. Just like when you delegate authority to a trustee for your private trust, we the people in the collective did the same thing with the Constitution for the United States of America. You know there's a Constitution of the United States and a Constitution for the United States of America. The preposition for and of are used for two different purposes. When you use of, you're connecting two nouns. That's why that word United States is a noun, all right, which is a particular person, place, or thing. It's a noun, all right. So it is a noun. So when you say the Constitution of the United States, notice they didn't put of America on there because that's a proper noun. When they're describing all 50 contingent states coming together in harmony, they say the Constitution for the United States of America, because the name of our country is not United States. The name of this country is America. The United States is in Washington, D.C. Like my man when he just put the code up a few minutes ago under the UCC subsection 9-30, was it 306? The United States is located in Washington, D.C. All right? So it says whereas the corporate state and the sovereign state. So the first thing you have to understand is the word the Constitution of the United States is a corporate charter. Where'd I get that? Well, if you would be so kind as to look up the word Constitution in a Black Law dictionary, you're going to see parliamentary law. Parliamentary law is dealing with the legislature. The legislature is the one that created this Constitution of the United States. When they did that, they also created, through what's called delegation of powers doctrine, also within that corporation, an executive, legislative, and judicial branch of government. This is what the Judiciary Act was all about. You should understand that Congress didn't create the Supreme Court, the Constitution did. But when they did the Judiciary Act, they created a United States Supreme Court. Not the Supreme Court of the United States of America. They created the United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court has appellate jurisdiction over the statutory courts. That's all they do is appellate. If you want original jurisdiction, you got to go to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. When they tell you have to exhaust your administrative remedies and they're going to do a judicial review of the case, you're going into the Supreme Court of the United States. Both justices are in both of them, but they're operating in a different capacity. You need to understand this if you're going to understand jurisdiction. Because a lot of you don't understand what I'm saying, but you'll go in and say you don't have jurisdiction over me. You got to be sophisticated enough to be able to explain this. Notice I ain't picked up a book yet. See, I ain't picked up shit. I'm giving you definitions, telling you where it's located. I ain't picked up a book yet. How long I've been talking? 44 minutes. I ain't picked up a book yet. All this shit off the top of the head. All right? You got to have it ingrained in your subconscious. To be a sovereign, you have to be that what you wish to become. You can't be no damn sovereign and you don't know shit. This ain't that kind of game. All right? So, you need to understand that when they created this Constitution of the United States, it was a corporate charter. The reason I want you to look up the word Constitution in a Black's Law dictionary, because you will see one of the meanings of Constitution is to create a charter for a corporation, to constitute a corporation. They tell you this right in the Black's Law dictionary. Like I said, these words have dual meanings. So, once we understand that we can identify the corporation, they gave you a marker. It is United States Supreme Court. It is United States Post Office, United States person, United States citizen, whatever, United States District Court. I it is a proper noun, and and law is scientific, so that is a noun that is describing something, an entity that owns that particular whatever it is. United States owns this district court. United States owns this postal service. United States owns this citizen. All right, it's an ownership interest in whatever it is, because that's what the word of does. All right, it connects two nouns. For doesn't. It's the object of something, of some action. United States, you do something for somebody. United States, the Constitution for the United States of America, and you have the Constitution of the United States. You need to know grammar. All right. So you got to understand when the United States government is operating in an appellate capacity, and when it's operating in its original capacity. It's what they call original jurisdiction. Original jurisdiction is how we are supposed to be petitioning the court, because what they are the protectors of private rights. That they are defenders of the Constitution, and the Constitution creates government and restrains government. We have a government of limited powers. So this is a limitation on government of what they can do. One of the limitations we gave them was they can make no law that will infringe on the obligation of contracts, because contracts are what? On the private side, that's our shit. So when we gave them that power, we told them stay out of our business. Don't come involved in our business. But they got themselves in our business by taking our gold. They took our gold and then they injected themselves in our business. When we was out here not fucking with nobody. And now you're looked at as a surety for the repayment of that, and that is done through your labor. So they pledge your labor in repayment of the national debt without your consent. Well, it's an implied consent, because then once they give you the benefit and privilege, you accept it. All right? You acquiesce to it. That is why it's de facto. De facto doesn't mean it's unlawful. De facto just simply means you acquiesce to it. You didn't say nothing. That's how it became de facto. You acquiesced. They started doing some other shit and you went along with it. And didn't say shit. Everybody has to have a first time going into the courtroom though. It's just like the Matrix. Everybody got to try to make that jump. So don't shit on people who go into the court. I don't shit on nobody who goes in the courtroom. I didn't do that well the first time I went in the courtroom. And I studied like 3 months before I went in and memorized what I needed to say. But everybody's going to make mistakes. But you got to break yourself in. You got to start getting comfortable going into court, challenging these people, because everybody else be scared when they go in there. They like sheep, call your name, tell you, okay, do what we say, pay this money, now get the fuck out of here. Don't do that shit again. Come back in there and motherfucking again, I'm gonna bust you in your ass again. Your public servants talking to you like this. These public servants talking to you like you ain't shit. But they ain't public servant, Now, you got to understand that operates in the public. That operates in the public. That is the public domain. Okay, we got a lot of people on YouTube too. All right, people coming in, that's good to know. Come on, y'all get the likes up. Let's give me some likes for my analytics. All right, you got to give me something. All right, it's called, everything in the universe is about exchange. All right, let's talk about that real quick. There is no empty space in the universe. So for something to occupy a space, something has to be removed from that space. There is no empty space. That's why they say the universe abhors a vacuum. That's what that means. So this is why Jesus said, you have to give in order to receive, because it's impossible to receive something without first giving something. You got to give energy to get energy. There's always an exchange. When there is an exchange, there is no tax. Like when you do a 1031 exchange in your taxes, you defer your taxes and over into another real estate property. Same thing when you exchange property into a trust. Instead of talking about funding a trust, they got y'all saying fund a trust. You exchange property into a trust. When I hear them say fund a trust, it's somebody that know what the fuck they're doing. They haven't been thoroughly trained. They haven't been thoroughly trained because they don't know what you exchange property into a trust. An exchange doesn't create a taxable event. Does that make sense to you? All right. So, can you get a passport without a birth? See, people asking me about like, can you get a passport without a birth certificate? The birth certificate is the foundational document of all your identification. You can't get nothing in the public without a birth certificate. That's who you are. So I don't understand. But it's just all the birth certificate represents is that you're a live person. Because when you die, they give you a death certificate. So a birth certificate means that there's a live person that has commercial energy, which gives value. And that's why everybody has a minimum value, which is why they have a minimum wage, because everybody has a minimum value. So they have a minimum wage. If you're alive and breathing, there's something you can do. They're going to give you a value. But you don't have a maximum value because don't nobody know that. Because a workman is worthy of his hire. So nobody can tell you what you're worth. You have to determine that for yourself. That's very important for you to know, because when we start discussing bonds, then you begin to understand where the valuation of the bond comes from, and you'll feel more comfortable putting $100 million on a bond, 200 million, 1 trillion, or whatever you want to put on it. You can put whatever you want on there, okay? Because it's you that determines your future value, not anyone else. All right, so it says, I've been trying to get my children's birth certificate, but now they over 5 and it's hard. No, it's not. Just go down there and get them. Hard to get the birth. They have to give it to you. You're the parent. They got to give you the birth. You can get that shit on the internet. It says the public servants are just gatekeepers. They are the test. That's exactly correct. 100% correct. They're gatekeeping. And you know why they're gatekeeping? They have to, because a lot of y'all are heathens. Listen, man. I have to be honest with you, okay? Don't get offended. Don't nobody get offended. I want you to think about what I'm going to say. Let's start with your divorces. You make a vow to God, for better or for worse, and y'all get a divorce like it ain't nothing. When the only grounds for a divorce is infidelity. That is the only valid grounds for a divorce is infidelity. Only grounds for a divorce. No other reason you can get a divorce other than for infidelity. All right? The wealthy and successful families, they don't break up their families. Families run the world. You get a wife and children because your family is your business. Okay? That is your legacy. You're supposed to be building a family to take over shit. You send the children to college to come back and work in the family business. One son, I got a doctor. She got a health part of it. We got a son, he's a lawyer. I need to go to a lawyer. Our son got that. You got everybody's involved in something to run the family, like Walmart, the Waltons. If the Waltons put all their money together, they'd be the richest people in the world. Walmart would be. Sam Walton is the person who created that. All right? The Rothschilds, they are a family. All right? The Warbirds, whomever, the Rockefellers. All right? These are families. And you know what they don't want to happen? They don't want no competition because they don't want you to have a family. So they're going to get you to destroy your family because families have the potential to become nations. Have the potential. So before that seed can even sprout, they're destroying it before it even get a chance to sprout. And you allowing them to do it for bullshit, like working at a motherfucking job for somebody else or chasing money, which is not the most important thing in life. The most important thing in life is your relationships with other people. The most important thing in life is how you are as a person, what kind of spirit you have. Because you're supposed to be thinking about eternal life and how to qualify for that. And that should govern your conduct. But some of you don't believe that. That's why you have in the 2nd chapter of Solomon, the wisdom of Solomon, he's given the description of the people who don't think there's any life after that. A person who don't think there's no judgment day is capable of killing. A person who doesn't have any judgment day, doesn't believe any vows to God, has any significance or anything like that. You are the people that don't believe in a judgment day. Or you think that you can keep on sinning and just keep getting forgiven when Jesus said, sin no more. He said, go and sin no more. But you think you just be in this perpetual cycle where I keep being sinning and keep being forgiven. And then when, the end come on the day of standing, you can stand before God and say, hey, you said you're going to forgive me for all that. You didn't try to do nothing, to correct your conduct or anything. You just kept on sinning. Okay. All right. What's the point of Judgment Day then? What's the point of Judgment Day? If you just keep on doing it, just be forgiven for every fucking thing you do. What do you think about Trump taking over D.C.? I want y'all to stop and think about something. Washington, D.C., the municipality that the ladies are mayor over, that was created by the Legislative Act of 1871. Why would anybody trip that Trump can take over the city? He can take over the city. The goddamn, that's why that lady didn't say nothing. She didn't say shit, because she already know. They're a creation of Congress. They fall within their statutory jurisdiction. They can eliminate that shit if they want to. They can say, you know what, ain't no more municipality in D.C. no more. They can do that shit. Washington, D.C. is the government shit, not no motherfucking municipality. That's a territorial jurisdiction. And they got plenary power in it. And if you don't understand that, you don't understand civics. You need to go back to elementary school and get you an education in civics, because you letting CNN pump your mind up with some bullshit. Because they just playing on you because you're ignorant. Everything in Washington, they even tell the citizens there they don't have a right to go into an Article 3 court. They say, you have a right to go to Article 3 court because you were born in D.C. You were born in a territory. He's trying to, but people who are ignorant, listen, when you talk about liberals, all right, liberals are like godless people. Everything over there is kind of like godless. Their sexuality, abortion, a lot of things that they engage in to trying to put women in authority over men and, and shit like that. It's called the Satanic Church because that is their doctrine. Do what thy will. Do whatever you want to do. Do whatever feels good to you. Do it. All right? Without consequence. They think they can do it. And so also, they don't want to take, another thing that's coming from over there is the lack of accountability. So they can do whatever they want to do without being accountable. And then all of a sudden they can paint themselves as the victim when they are the ones responsible for putting themselves in the situation that they're in. You'll see they'll never take accountability for anything. They'll say, this person's oppressing me. It's because of the white man. It's the white man. It's the white man's fault, Yusuf. I can't get ahead because it's the white man. Even though we got brothers go to prison 2-3 times, come out, run circles around y'all, and once, not white man kicking them in the ass, that came out their mouth not one time, but you, for some reason, the white man is keeping you down. It's about systematic racism. It's about white supremacy. And they get you to say all of that, and you don't understand the power of the tongue is that the law of polarity is you have to get rid of a habit, you have to replace it. To get rid of white supremacy, you have to replace it with something else. So you don't get rid of it by talking about it. You replace it by start talking about the thing you desire. But you want to run around, keep focusing your mind on the thing you don't desire, and you keep bringing the thing to you. It's just like Job said, and he said, the thing that I feared has come upon me. You fear the thing, you fear something, you bring it to you. This is why they say fear is adultery with God. Fear is adultery with God, because if God is with you, who can be against you? If God is with you, why are you afraid? This is the testing of faith. Y'all want to hear that though. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear no sermon, even though it's Sunday. Even though it's Sunday. You want to hear how can I discharge this traffic ticket, Yusuf? Just some old bullshit. They coming in, those type of people that do that, they're the ones that never succeed in anything in life. They don't succeed in it. They can't discharge a debt. They don't succeed in nothing. You know why? Because they don't understand cause and effect. The causal plane you got the mental, spiritual, and physical plane. Everything is subject to the mind. The mind is the first cause. So the mental plane is the cause, and the physical plane is the effect. There is no power in the effect. There's only power in the cause. So, this is why all spiritual teachings teaches you not to be physical, because when you're physical, you are always a victim. Outside circumstances are direct. You're being controlled. When you operate from here, you are the controller. So this is the controller and the controlled. It's the same thing with, this is the gaseous state, liquid state, get baptized, and solid liquid, it's on a gas, liquid, and solid. So, what this is talking about is manifestation of your thoughts. Your thoughts go through the same process as water, solid, liquid, and gas. The gaseous state is your thought. It starts with a mental body, it takes on a physical body, and then it takes on a spiritual body. You are a mental being. So in your mind, you are just like this. Imagine that God is the ocean. This is a Zen saying. And you are a teaspoon out of the ocean. Same in quality, different in degree. So when I say peace to the gods and goddesses, that's the position I'm coming from. I'm not calling you the creator of the boundless universe. I'm saying, like it says in your Bible, God blew his spirit in you and you became a living soul. That spirit is the same quality of the ocean, even though you're the teaspoon. So you do have a limitation. Your limitation is that anything you can conceive and believe you can achieve. So you have to be able to conceptualize it. To give you a very quick indicator of your ability to conceptualize, try to think of a color you've never seen before. You can't do it. So right there is the mark of your limitation. So if you're able to conceptualize it, it means it's possible. As soon as you think it, it's in the mental plane. As soon as you think it, it instantly has life. However, it doesn't have a spiritual or physical body. All right? The physical is the plane of time and space. So it takes time through a vibrational frequency. This is a very, very fast vibration. People like call it 0 point, or they'll call it triple darkness. All right, 0 point means that it is the cause of all causes. And in Kabbalah, they call it the undifferentiated. But this is the causal plane. All right? So, from the causal plane, you generate something in your mind's eye. It instantly has life. This is where succubus and incubus, and they call thought forms come from. Y'all like to call them demons, but what they are, they're thought forms, because for them to keep living, they need you to keep thinking about them, because you are the God. You are the source. You are the quintessential essence of everything in creation. You are the earth, wind, air, fire, water, and spirit. You got a from dust you came and dust you return. You're 70% water. You have a 98.6 degree body temperature. You breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon. Same thing fire does. And then you need air. And then you have a spirit, which is in the blood and the semen. All right, because it can create life. All right, so you are this God force. You are this God force. All right, you got it, but you don't know, you don't have no instructions. So a lot of you are like a child with an AK-47. You can't control your thoughts. You know, that's the battlefield. The battlefield is, can you control yourself? Can you discipline yourself? You know, can you discipline yourself? Like what we used to do something like this. Go sit down in front of a mirror and see if you can think of one thing for 60 seconds without allowing another thought to enter your mind. This is a practice. Now it's an exercise because you need to have concentration, focus. Anything that concentrates becomes a force. If you take sunlight and focus it through a magnifying glass, you can burn paper. If you take water and focus it through a water hose, it becomes a force. Well, if you take thought and focus it down to one point, it becomes a force. All right? So when you hear people say, well, you have to multitask, multitasking is for slaves. It is not for the gods, because the gods are this one thing I do. You can't have no plan B. If you, all you women, y'all come in, y'all got a plan B, you planning to fail. Ain't nobody can have success having a plan B. There is no success with a plan B. The double-minded man can hope to receive nothing from the Lord. You double-minded. You see how these natural laws fit up? Jesus knew the natural laws. They were just expressing it to you in a different way. They knew all the natural. That's why I don't throw out the Bible. That's why I say, when you look at these guys, these are not spiritual dudes. They're like demons. Oh, you don't need that book, because they're telling you they don't know the natural laws, so they don't have an eye to see and an ear to hear when they're actually reading these books. Fuck what that preacher's saying. He don't know what it's talking about either. The preacher don't know shit. They like them preachers today. They like same preachers from the slave era. No understanding, no growth, and nothing. You know how they talk. They just motivational speakers. They don't have an in-depth understanding. Like, for instance, it says in the Bible, it said, give not thy strength to women, that which can destroy kings. People that interpret that in other way, but what that's talking about your sperm. When you look at what they call phallic worship, and you see all the old statues where men have a very powerful erection, you have that powerful erection when you retain your sperm. That's just them saying that I have a lot of spiritual energy because I've been able to retain my semen. But they teaching y'all to expend it, when expending your semen in the Bible is a sin. When you go into the Old Testament, it's against one of the law. You could get stoned for that. For pulling out of a woman and letting your semen go onto the ground. That's how serious it was. Today, you don't take anything serious because, once again, you don't understand cause and effect. You do shit and don't know what the effect of what you're doing is. So you operating in ignorance. That's the definition of ignorance, where you don't know the cause and effect. And you just ignore it. So ignorance comes from the word ignore. I just ignore that. Ain't that, whatever. So then things start happening in your life and you don't know why. You don't understand that you're doing out your conduct is having a detrimental effect, but you attribute it to something else other than your own ignorance of how natural laws operate, and that you are the controller of everything that happens in your life. But that will never happen until you take accountability, and most people don't want to take accountability. A God is anything or anyone who's in control. The only thing you can control is yourself. And if you don't want to take on the responsibility of controlling yourself, you can never be a god or a goddess. A god or a goddess is anyone or anything that's in control. You can't control another person. So it's talking about yourself. And that's what we talk about, the 7 levels. Let me do it again. We have over here, we have the God man. And you have the supreme being. And you have a being and a human being and then a human and then a man and then a beast. Now, unfortunately today, what we have in society, we have a lot of people right here at the beast level. You have no self-control. You're totally ignorant of natural laws, because that's why the Jews are running everything, because they have a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah for their son and daughter. It's called son of the covenants and daughter of the covenants, when they make their covenant with God to maintain themselves, to keep the laws. And these laws are put in place because the people who wrote them understood the natural laws of the universe, but you just think it's some sort of religious bullshit. but you can't see the result that they following that and controlling the world with it. But we'll get back. All right, so you have the beast. Then these represent levels of discipline and development until you reach the God-man stage. All right, this is about discipline. The undisciplined person, when they say the beast of the field, they talk about people only sleep, eat, and reproduce. If you all you do is sleep, eat, and reproduce, there's no different than the damn dog and the cat. Ain't no difference. As a man, you are supposed to have a goal. As a man, when these women who are spiritually ignorant as well, when they come in and talk about a man who knows how to lead, I don't know what the hell that means. Know how to lead. All right, I don't know what that means. I'm going to tell you what makes a man a leader. What makes a man a leader is when he is in pursuit of his purpose and his goal. It don't have nothing to do with what some woman say. Are you in pursuit of your purpose and your goal? If you don't have this, yeah, you're not a leader. You're not a man. All right? You down here in this beast level. You are on the ocean of life without a sail, drifting. You haven't set sail. You haven't made a decision. Men make decisions. And you have made the first decision. And that is, what do you want? If you take any of these men who are unsuccessful, the reason they're unsuccessful, because they don't know what they want. So we're going to answer that question first. So a woman, she is supposed to look at the man, evaluate the purpose and the goal, and to see if whether or not she wants to assist him in reaching that. That's what makes him a leader. When he's pursuing his life's purpose, his goals that he has. That's it. All right? You as the woman, you can go or you don't have to go. All right? You don't have to get on that train, but the train is on a track headed to a destination and it's not changing direction for your ass. All right? If you get on the train, don't go up there fucking with the conductor. Don't go fucking with the conductor. I got a plan. I know where I'm going. I got a plan and I know where I'm going. Now, do you want to go? If you don't want to go, this next stop, you can get your ass off so I can keep on trucking. Because I'm a man, I'm headed to a destination. I hope that is a good analogy for you men out there. All right, so you got to have a purpose and a goal, and that vision has to stay before your mind's eye. This is the reason for the affirmations. This is the reason for the dream boards. This is the reason for praying 5 times a day. This is the reason why they tell you to pray before you go to bed at night, so you can carry that into your subconscious mind. And the first thing you do when you wake up, this is what all that's for. All right, but you got to have that vision first, that goal in your mind's eye, and you have to keep it there. Because remember, this is the mental, spiritual, and physical plane. The physical plane is the plane of time and space, which means it takes time to materialize. It materializes instantaneously on the mental plane, but to give it a physical body, it takes time. The vibrational frequency has to slow, and then it will begin to materialize. All right? So, this is the reason. Now, when you know these principles, you can look in anybody's law of attraction book. I don't give a damn who it is. I don't care if it's Esther Hicks. I don't care if it's some whatever guru talking about the law of attraction. I'm giving you the mechanics of it right now. All right? They can express it in any way they want to. We're talking about vibrations. We're talking about mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, cause and effect, gender, and rhythm. All right? Those 7 principles govern everything. They also talk about it in the Bible in Proverbs 9:1, where it says, wisdom has hewn out her pillars. She's hewn out her 7 pillars. She's built her house and hewn out her 7 pillars. A pillar is what holds everything up. Everything in creation is held up by those 7 principles. Mentalism, correspondence, as above, so below. As above, so below just simply means whatever's in the mental is going to appear on the physical. So I can evaluate your mental state by looking at your physical state. If you're walking around as a bum, your mental state is disorganized. That's why they tell a person, if a person's house is disorganized, they got a disorganized mind. It's as above, so below. The above is the mental, below is the physical. I can look at the physical and tell what your mental is just by looking at the physical through the law of correspondence, because they are connected. So whatever results you're getting in life, you have to look in the mirror. If you keep meeting shitty ass men who cheating on you, or he don't have any money, well, you need to look in the mirror. Because that's what you are attracting. You attract what you are. You have to be that what you wish to become. How it works also is that it works in now time. There is no tomorrow. There is no yesterday. That's illusionary. That's Maya. Right? The only thing that exists is the eternal now. The great I am. Not I'm going to be, not I was. I am. All right? So now time. Somebody wrote a book called The Power of Now. You can read any of those books. I can read any of those books because I know the principles. Bring me any of them. The principle is just somebody selling you a book trying to explain the principles I'm giving you right now of manifestation. Mentalism, correspondence, it's a vibrational, everything in existence has a vibratory signature. Everything has two sides, up, down, right, left, hard, soft, in, out, light, dark, good, bad, male, female. Everything has two sides. Everything has a rhythm. Cause and effect governs all activity and creates order in the universe. And everything has a male, a feminine, and masculine aspect to it. That's how everything keeps regenerating. The law of regeneration. There's a masculine and feminine aspect to everything in creation. The argument about the male and the female, that's a demon gotcha. A demon created feminism. That's a demon created that. That's a demon. They attack the feminine because the feminine is the gateway to manifestation. So they try to take your gateway away from you and make the women act like men and got the men acting like women. That's a demon. And I can say that because I know the laws. But here, let me tell you something else. It doesn't matter because anything that goes against the law doesn't last long because the universe all favors balancement and it's going to reestablish itself. So none of that shit is going to last. It's not going to last. It's going to phase out. Something's going to happen to it because it's not in harmony with the laws. That's why they call it a sin. The word sin means to go against the law. That's what the word sin means, to go against the law. All right? Look it up. D has been in it, but a party has appealed it. Well, yeah, people appeal it. Okay. If a final judgment is under peace, see, like, look at them. They ain't listening to what I'm saying. They want to talk back about that shit. They want to talk about that, and that's why they don't win. Let me tell you something. When I was in when I was doing this, when I first started doing this, and I was locked up, I had to temper. Okay, let me try to paint this picture for you. Imagine that you're looking at 100 years in prison. All right, you don't have an attorney. You don't have any law books with you. Well, no, I'm gonna say that you don't have any. Just say you don't have anybody that can help you. So you have to decide. The only thing I have that I can use against these people is my mind. Is my mind. All right. Now, in understanding my mind, I have to commit things to memory because they can come in and take my books from me at any time. So I have to have a good memory too. I have to commit to memory everything that I'm learning just in case somebody comes and takes it away from me. Then I need to learn the mechanics of the mind because I'm dealing with fear. Because I'm afraid for my life because I'm looking at all this time. So now I have to address my fear too. And then in addressing, because that's what a lot of you cats got, y'all got a lot of fear. And I just said fear is adultery with God. So when you have, so in addressing this fear, fear is false evidence appearing real, because if God created the universe in love, then where did the fear come from? Well, fear is absence of knowledge. It's just you're afraid of the unknown. You don't know. So this creates fear. So to counter fear, you give yourself knowledge. And the knowledge that you're going to give you is the knowledge that, first of all, I can make anything happen the way I want it to happen. However, it's not just easy like that. I have to discipline myself. I have to discipline myself to make it occur. So before you go into these courtrooms, before I ever went into a court, I would always say a prayer outside the courtroom. I say, God, please direct my mind in accordance with your mind, and let me speak from your heart and not my own. Now, why did I say that? Because I'm in confinement. Yes, I'm studying every day. Yes, I'm going to the law library whenever I can. But I'm in a confined area. I'm only limited to whatever somebody can give me. So I have to utilize faith, and I have to have faith that if I call out to the Creator, He's going to answer. Time you ever called on me and I didn't answer. So at some point you have to decide, are you going to put that to the test? Are you going to see if what they're saying in these books are true or not? Are you going to say, you know what? I'm going to have faith. I'm going to put my soul in your hands, God, and I'm going to see you perform. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it and not give in to fear. But see, a lot of y'all wrestle with fear. You contend with fear and you lose to it all the time. You lose to it. You want to do these processes and you haven't addressed that. You haven't addressed your fear and your doubt. That's why you're asking me questions, because you're in a state of fear and doubt. You don't know. You don't know. But that's okay not to know. But what's not okay is not to be spiritually grounded. There's no excuse for that. Only a fool says there is no God. That's in your Bible. Only a fool says there is no God. So if you are back and you haven't gotten that together, I can't really help you, because you're like a child with an AK-47. You haven't disciplined your mind. You haven't even come into an awareness of how to control your mind. So what can I do with that? What can I do with that? I can't do nothing with that, because as soon as you fail, you're going to blame me. You saw I used that UCL process, and that shit didn't work for me. But nigga, you didn't believe in the process never in the first place. How was he ever going to work? You didn't believe in it because you didn't have the knowledge. Because what increases faith is knowledge. Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. He didn't say anything about believing in something. He said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Don't say nothing about set you free. You made free by coming into a knowledge of what I'm talking about right now. Because what other freedom is greater than the fact of coming into an understanding that you're God? That the kingdom of heaven, he says, seek ye first the kingdom and all things will be added to you. And then in Luke 17:21, he give you the answer. He says, seek ye not here nor there, but the kingdom is in you. You see, you spending all this time looking around for God all out here when it's in you. So you don't want to address that. And I feel sorry for you, brother, because you also got, let me tell you something about black devils. Shout out to Dr. Malachi Z. York for bringing this up. He wrote this book called Black Devils. You know, because for the longest, I have to say this too. For the longest, you know, black people, they like to style the white man as the devil. You know, the white man is the devil. But he posed something. Then you have something that said, well, white people came from black people. You know, they'd say that too. Well, if white people came from black people and the devil existed at the beginning of creation, well, isn't the devil a black man? And is the devil a black? And when we say devil, what do we mean? Are we talking about somebody with pitchforks and a horn or something like that? Or are we talking about somebody who has certain characteristics? Like it says in Revelations 18:2, it says, Babylon the great has fallen has become the habitation of devils. Not devil singular, devils, plural. Devils. What is a devil? I'm going to give you what a devil is somebody who's always negative. It's cold out here. It ain't that cold, but they just over exaggerate or over embellish something. I'm hungry, but then they're like, okay, we finna get something to eat. I'm hungry. You know, they just over embellish, over exaggerate everything. They don't have a positive bone in their body about nothing. They constantly doubting everything. Everybody is the enemy or something like that. You're dealing with a devil. A devil are those women who come into the chat and tell you not to get married. A man can't do nothing for me. How do you know who's behind those keyboards? That's a spirit. Anybody who's talking negativity is a devil. It's a devil. And it's called, in your Quran, it says the same thing. It says the jinn that's in spirit and man. It tells you in the Quran, the jinn is also a physical being. It tells you in Isaiah, it says, many shall look upon thee and consider thee and say, is this the man that made nations? Talking about Lucifer. How have I fallen from the heavens? It says a man. In book of Revelations, it says it is the number of a man. A man. When they asked Jesus, tell us about the end of the world in Matthew 24, verse 5. He said, make sure that no man deceive you, because many shall come in my name saying I'm Christ and deceive many. Everybody keep talking about a man, not some damn red man with a pitchfork. You're looking at the devil when you're looking at people who are immersed in negativity. They have a spirit. How are you going to win anything with a spirit like that? And any wealthy person will tell you right now, one of the first steps in becoming wealthy is you got to get all the negative people out from away from you. You got to get them away from you. I remember I did that shit 10 years ago and I started making money hand over fist. I started introducing back into my life. I started money started falling again. I got to keep all negativity out of my life. There are people who will bring you down. There are men who you can get attached to who will bring you down, and there are women who can get attached to who will bring you down. And even though you might feel like you love this person or you feel a certain way about, but this person, how you monitor that is look at your life. It's no different than, like, I used to have a very, very nice yard when I had a house with a yard. I had the nicest yard because I would get up every morning and go into the grass. It was very therapeutic for me. And I'd pull all the weeds out the grass every morning. I mean, it took me about 2 weeks, but I went through the entire yard on hand and knees. I ain't talking about them big weeds. I'm talking about I was pulling the weeds under the grass that you can't see. And I was pulling that out by my hand, some of the little bitty weeds and everything. I just doing sections of the yard every day. When I got through, my yard looked like a golf course. This is what Jesus is talking about. He's talking about the weeds and everything. He's giving you that analogy. Those negative thoughts are the weeds that are in the garden of your mind. And you have to weed your mind, all right? If you want to get positive circumstances in your life, all right? You have to stop thinking negatively. That's what the affirmations are about. Soon as a negative thought enter your mind, you got to start counteract that through the process of polarity with its counter side, all right? You have to eradicate negativity from you. And that is where the battle, thought is a very, controlling your mind is a very, what is the word I'm trying to look at for? It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It's not easy to control your mind. That's why they have exercises and meditation and all these things. So it is easier said than done with what I'm talking about. But you can take steps to doing it, like first of all, breaking free from the negative influences, and then start to try to control your speech and control your thoughts. All right. You know, I saw this meme one time. It was I forgot what it's saying. It's called The Grandmaster. Y'all go watch, it's a movie called The Grandmaster. It was about Bruce Lee's teacher. That's a good ass movie, The Grandmaster. Anyway, he was talking about his wife, and he said his wife didn't speak much because she understood the power of words. He says wife didn't talk a lot because she understood the power of words. That's why you women, y'all understand y'all words are powerful. Yeah, we can put hands on you, but hell, you can put words on us. Them words is just as detrimental as them damn hands. I think a verbally abusive woman is just as bad as a physically abusive man. just as bad. Just as bad. Just as bad. Especially when you're verbally abusing your children and your sons and your daughters and things like that. You need to understand the power of the tongue. The power of the tongue is like a sword that cuts. Anyway, okay, I'll answer some questions now. I think that's enough foundation. Now, let's talk about some UCC stuff. Now that we understand the spiritual foundation, how are we going to control our mind? If I'm going to learn something, okay, I'm only going to put faith in it when I can confirm it. When I can confirm it, okay, now I'm going to put some faith in it. All right? You shall know the truth, and the truth shall. That's why I'm so meticulous in making videos about the two United States. What does a person mean? And all these things right here. I'm taking you through a training to get you to. Y'all want to jump right into discharging debt. Those just be the bombs. They just trying to get some free shit. They're trying to get something that doesn't exist because there is no such thing as something for nothing. It doesn't exist in contemplation of reality. Even air isn't. When you breathe out carbon monoxide, the trees breathe in the carbon monoxide and breathe out oxygen. You breathe out oxygen, breathe out carbon monoxide. We have a synergistic relationship with the plants. So you kill the plants, you kill yourself. There's that interrelationship exists all throughout the universe. Everything in the universe has a relationship with something else. So there is no such thing as something for nothing. You have to give in order to receive. That's why all these things were said. Jesus, when he said that, he understood a universal principle of cause and effect, of the universe abhors a vacuum, of there is no empty space. Okay, I hope you understand that. Seek wisdom after all that getting and get understanding. Beautiful verse. And that's what I did from a very early age. I made books of wisdom because I wanted to understand a lot of things. And I wanted to understand how to handle things. And that is what will counter depression. And a lot of these things you do is by getting wisdom. And the best people to get wisdom from is the people who've lived before you, who've already went through it and can tell you about it. That's why you read the Bible. I'm reading the book of Proverbs because these dudes, it trips me out because they were going through the same shit 6,000 years ago we going through today. Should we start with status correction or UCC process? They're the same thing, man. What you talking about? It's the same damn thing. Our UCC process is status correction. It's the same thing. Status correction is some word y'all made up. That word wasn't being used in the beginning. Y'all made that shit up. Everybody was doing a secure party process. It was the only process out. Y'all done made a plethora, million different processes out. Birth certificate, passport, all this shit right here. When all of it is a result of HCR 192, June 5th, 1933. Y'all spend a lot of time trying to figure out a way where they don't have jurisdiction over you, whereas the business people are figuring out ways to mitigate their tax liability or eliminate it altogether. Everything's about y'all just afraid to be businessmen and women. Everything is business. There is a maximum. All inter-exchange between human beings is commercial in nature. All your inter-exchange with another human being is commercial in nature. Whether it's bartering for something or something, it's some type of commerce that is going on. That's why I say your family is your business. Everything in the Bible is about business. Everything on Star Trek is about business. Them niggas is fighting with other aliens. That shit is over business. You know, some resources on a planet or something, and somebody's controlling the trade routes or some shit like that. Even in Star Wars, everything is about business, man. It's business. It's just business. Stop taking it personal. It's just you taking it personal because you don't understand business. The mafia, it's about business. It's just business. This is just business. I want you to understand. It's just business, man. All right, so let me see the questions now. Every interaction, that's exactly correct. Your family is your business. Y'all be fucking up y'all business and shit, because y'all go into the family business to take trips and do dumb shit like, man, stop following a woman, man. Listen, man, get you a woman that understands how to build a family. The only reason you should even want to get married is if you want to have a family, if you want me to tell you the truth. All right, if you're young listening to me, get with a woman that wants to do the work of building your legacy. If she's talking about chasing careers and all that shit, you don't need to be with her. I'm being straight up. If she's not thinking about being a mother, if her first thoughts aren't being a mother, understanding what a family structure is and her role in that family or anything like that, you wasting your time, bro. You're just gonna be you're gonna be constantly getting into a headbutting with this woman because she's taking on a masculine frame. She's in competition with you. She wants money too. She wants control. And she's going against the divine order because the feminine is receptive energy. It's not in control. It's on the receiving end. The man is the one, the masculine makes the decision. Let me just give you an analogy, you women. One of the analogies, y'all say, well, everybody has masculine and feminine in them. They do. And that is in the conscious and subconscious mind. The conscious mind is masculine. It is the seat of the will. The subconscious mind is feminine. It is receiver. Now, the conscious mind is the protector and provider. This is what it talks about in books of Proverbs when it says, guard your heart, for out of it are the issues of life. You got to watch what you allow into your subconscious mind. So the seat of the will protects the subconscious, and it also provides for the subconscious. The subconscious is the gateway to manifestation. The feminine, all right? The feminine gives birth, all right, to whatever provisions the masculine has given it. Mother Earth receives seeds and gives back in like kind. Mother Nature receives thoughts and gives back in like kind. All right, this is a principle. All right, when you understand these analogies, they operate the same way through all out manifest creation. There's a give and a take. There's a masculine and feminine. That's why it's one of the 7 principles. I'm not talking about penises and vaginas. If you're thinking like that, that's called the base. You are on the level of the beast. Okay, I'm talking to the gods and the goddesses. You get caught up in penises and vaginas when we're talking about activity. We're talking about yin and yang. We're talking about energy and the way it interacts with each other. People have no idea, married 12 years, and I know my job taking care of. Well, you want to grow the family too. Like, one of the things y'all do, y'all send y'all kids out. Think about this. Y'all send y'all kids to go get another house and pay separate bills and do all that. It's like, why don't everybody just stay in one house? Why don't you just get the land, build a big ass house with wings? They get married. Okay, you take that wing back there. You take that because everything is contributing to the family. It's the family. You know what I'm saying? The family grows. Right? It's the family business. Everybody works for the family business. It's the business. You have to look at it like that. But you letting your kids go work for somebody else's family business. Because every job out there you go to is somebody's family business. That's somebody else's family business. All right? And you're going to help them grow their family business. Why aren't you helping grow your own family business? But you're not approaching it like that. All right? Marriage is a business arrangement. It really is. It should be looked at that way. That's why they had contracts. There's always been a marriage contract. Marriage is a contract. You can write your own contract. That's how Asians are. They have all the money. The Asians are like that. The Indians are like that. Indians, they daughter don't leave the house without a husband. She can't leave the house until a man gets her out the house. But if you go out there right now, I'm in Dallas, if you go out to Frisco, they be out late at night with their kids, they be escorting their kids. The parents be with them. I'm out there watching like, damn, 11 o'clock at night, parents walking behind them. They're on a date. Parents walking behind them on the date. Y'all got away from all of that. Y'all got away from all of that, man. And then you wonder why only 37% of black people are married. And then they getting divorced at a high rate, and you're killing your children at a high rate with abortion and all this right here because you don't have any spiritual laws that guide you. Because when you understood the detriment side of each action that you take, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. If you knew the power of sleeping with somebody, you wouldn't sleep with just anybody. If you men, let me talk to the men real quick. If you understood that When you sleep with an indiscriminate woman, I'm talking about a woman who does not discriminate on the type of man that she sleeps with, you are receiving a vibration, you're coming in contact with a vibrational frequency that's a discordant energy. This is why wealthy people only interact within the wealthy people's circle. They will not deviate outside of that because they're keeping that frequency. You're coming in contact with a frequency you don't even know what it is. This is what they were so concerned with virginity from, because they knew they had a clean vessel. But if you choose to engage with a vessel that she doesn't understand who she is, that she's a container of all these energies, and she just indiscriminately allows different men into her womb, and you enter into that womb, this is what they mean by that when they say that your most important decision is the kind of woman that you select, because that can make or break you. Now, they used to have brothels where the wealthy men, who were whorehouses, where they only allowed the whores to have sex with high-end men, and those men felt comfortable going to those women, only to those women. But the woman has to understand what her power is. Her power is not in the masculinity. She doesn't even respect femininity. She don't even respect her power, and she don't even know the extent of how powerful it is, because she don't respect it. She jealous of the masculine. She want to be the masculine. She jealous of the masculine energy. She look at the things the men do and wants to do it. I want to fuck a lot of niggas too. I want to get some money too. I want to, I want to be the leader too. I want to tell a nigga what to do too. I don't want to take care of no family. I want to do none of that shit. I just want to take girls trips and motherfucking buy bags and just live my best life. Beast level. Beast on the chart. They beast. No type of structure, no type of building of anything of any significant value. The most important thing you can build while you're alive is a family, a legacy for yourself. But I can't tell people how to live. But it's a reason that, people did the things that they do. When you look in history, men didn't just have multiple wives because they wanted to satisfy some sexual debased fetish. They had multiple wives because they needed multiple children. One children, they had a very big estate. If you look at the people that had multiple wives, they were rich. Being rich back then, they had cattle, they had crops. You need a whole bunch of children to attend that. That was a family business. One woman couldn't cut it. Sometimes you need 3 to do it, 4 to do it. To be giving me children at the same time. Because I need me some workers to work this family business. And one woman ain't gonna do it. That's why it says you can have as many wives, as many as you can afford. And a man who is wealthy could afford it. It wasn't just I want, 5 wives because I just want to feel like I want to have 5 wives. You needed that in accordance to the needs of the estate. What were the needs of the estate? And the woman also approved it. It had to run through her. Sarah gave Abraham Hagar. Abraham didn't go out and just get some shit. He said, literally talking about women like they are chattel. See, that's one of them feminist broads. I can't stand them. See, the feminist mind, they have an aversion to intelligent men who have money, men who do not fit in the frame of because, they like to think that they're better than men. So she said, I'm talking about women as if they are shadow. But even though I just got through explaining how the masculine and feminine interact with each other, and not in one way did I in any kind. So women are shadow because I could have more than one wife. I have to be looking at them shadow. That makes them shadow. That makes no sense whatsoever. No sense. But that was offensive to her. And you got to watch out. That's a demonic spirit because it goes against anything that is godly. Even though that's in the Bible, I'm just giving us something straight out of the book of Leviticus. And she mad about that shit. I'm telling you, it's godless women. They got the spirit of Jezebels in them. And it's a lot, and it is spread wide. And you need to be careful because not only they dangerous too. They going looking to destroy men. They want to destroy, they hate men. And you gotta see that. And it's not hard to see because they can't contain it. They can't contain themselves. They're easy to see. All I gotta do is put up. I do this all the time to fish form. I'll put up some type of what they would call like a toxic masculinity post or something like that. I put it up, and you'll see like 1,000 of them come and post, and I block all their ass. I just block all to get them away from it because I don't want to be with that energy. The energy now is a masculine energy. If you look up, they start looking like men and shit. They don't care. I don't have no love for a feminist. Anything godless, anything that's going against divine laws, that's what you're supposed to hate. You hate anything that's your enemy. That's the demarcation line between the light and the dark, between the dark side and the light side. That's the demarcation line. Is are you following the laws or are you against the laws? This is what it is. It went antichrist. Are you for the Christ conscious or are you against it? Everything is subject to some sort of law, but these people are lawless. They lawless. They don't believe in law. They'll tell you that natural law don't exist. They'll tell you that shit. I heard them say it. And they're trying to go against it. They're trying to pervert it. Oh, a man can be a woman can be a man. They're going against it. That's how you identify a devil. That's how you identify the devil. Devils are in human form, man. I'm sitting here trying to tell you. And they know they are. They know they are. They know they got a black heart. They know they're giving themselves over to the dark side. They know it. And they don't care. They're the ones you got to really, really watch out for. The ones that have knowingly given themselves over to evil and don't care. They don't care. That's the one. That's the most dangerous one. That's the most dangerous one. That's the one that can't be redeemed. It says, have you heard this one? There's no good and no bad. There's no evil, good and evil. What that means is, just listen to me. Everything comes from one source. This is why Isaiah, you see God say, I created light, I created dark, I created evil. That's coming from a principle that everything comes from the one. There's only one. Even in Islam, they call the Ahad, one. God, Allah is one. Okay? There's only one source of everything. So what you're calling good and evil both came from the same source, because nothing could exist if God hadn't created it. So that is a subjective interpretation of something. Now, we do have polarity. Now, what we have is what's good for you may not be good for me, and what's good for me may not good for you. All right, what you call agreeable and disagreeable. Something may agree with you or disagree with you. But to call something inherently evil and good, that came from concepts. Good, take away an O from good, you get God. Add an E-D to evil, you get devil. God, good and evil became God and the devil. So they are both, you can't have good without evil, and you can't have evil without good. They both two sides of the same coin. If you were to get rid of evil, good would split in two, and one half would become evil again. So that's why they keep talking about this perpetual battle between good and evil. It'll never, because it can't ever end, because good and evil are both two sides of the same. They're the yin and the yang. So they're two sides of the same coin. It's two sides to everything in creation. All right? It's two sides. That just follows the law of polarity. So it's like you got to understand what's desirous. So if you have in your mind that you are a coward, well, courage is the opposite polarity of cowardice. So you write an affirmation for cowardice, and you do a mental alchemical process on yourself and convert yourself. That changes your character. Like it takes like 18 days to change a habit. And what that means is to root something in your subconscious mind where it becomes habitual, to start habitually thinking in the vibratory frequency of courage instead of fear. You make yourself do that. You're in control of the process. But it takes an act of will to make it happen. It just doesn't happen. You got to actively pursue that. It's called discipline. Get up every morning and practice it. And then it'll start changing. If you want your life to change, you have to be the change that you want to see. Change is the only thing that doesn't change. And all the time they say the only thing that doesn't change. They say the more things change, the more they remain the same. It's just that things rearrange and time presents a different face with the very same brain. Let's What's that? Agreement in the fruit of willingness. All right, let me see. I done missed some. Let me see if I can get into the spirits of iniquity. Yeah. Crispus Attucks wanted liberty or death and got both at the same time. Yeah, he was the first person to die in, what was the Revolutionary War? A black man. Yes, I know my history. My grandmother made sure I knew that right there. That was a black man. Actually, my American history teacher, he's the one that taught us that in high school. Christopher Attucks was the first person to die in the Revolutionary War, and he was a black man. So everyone wanted Gemini. I've been telling people everyone has two sides. Well, yeah, they have two sides, but which side is prominent? Like they got the story of the two wolves. You know, which one are you going to feed? Are you going to feed the negative or feed the positive? You have two sides, but which one are you feeding? Are you going to feed into the positivity or are you going to feed into the negativity? You have the capability of being either or. But you decide because you have a will, which is masculine. The seat of the will is masculine. That's the masculine part of you, your ability to decide. A man makes decisions. That's why I said earlier, a man can't be a man if he ain't made no decision of what he wants. He ain't a man. Why would a woman come follow you? You don't know what you're doing. You don't know where you're going. Why would she come? Nigga, you don't deserve a woman. You ain't supposed to have no woman. You ain't earned one. You haven't earned one. Women were earned. All right? You earn a woman. You know, that you had to go to the father and he had to evaluate you. It's okay. All right. You got your shit together. You make some bread. All right. I see you ain't no punk. Yeah, you probably defender and everything. Got a nice little bit. Your family respected. They're a very respectable family. All right. Yep. Do we want to have this marriage with this family over here and extend our family through this marriage? All that was evaluated. Y'all do none of that shit. Y'all married motherfuckers don't even know they blood type. Don't even know they blood type. And some blood types ain't compatible. It says, use have just triggered the feminists with the word earned. I don't be caring about them feminists, man. Feminists, man, why would you even listen to them, man? Let me tell you something, feminists. If you didn't have men that were protecting you, you wouldn't be saying the shit that you're saying. The only reason you can say the shit you're saying is a man protecting you, you know? You hating a man, but men are the ones that offer you protection from other men. All right, so, you know, y'all need to just slow your roll with all that stuff. Men, it is a man's world. Men run the world. Always have, always will. I know I may not like that. Men allowed you to come into work jobs. You're talking about you fought for it. We had to just say, you know what? Let's let them do it. We can tax both of them. Let me read something to you. There's a book called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. Has anybody ever heard of that book? I want all you feminists to listen to this. This is for the feminists. It's because you think that the feminist mind believes that she's doing this on her own. She's being controlled. All this was planned. She's a puppet. She's a puppet. And I'm going to show it to you. This document that I'm about to read was discovered on a military copy machine in the 1970s. And what it was is it was a treatise on basically how they was going to take over the world. And one of the things that they had to do to take over the world, one of the major things they have to do is destroy the families. Because I told you, families, they all understand that families are their competition. So they have to destroy your families. So silent weapons for quiet wars. All right, so I'm gonna read this to you. And now this is in the book, Behold a Pale Horse, but I want you to pay attention to the part where down here. Oh shit. Okay, yeah, that's it right here. Okay, great. All right, now the section on energy, because they got to control energy. I want you to listen to this, all you feminists. All right, this is why the reason I'm reading this to you, because this is one of the root causes of why I am diametrically opposed to everything that you stand for, because understanding the root cause of how you got to the place where you're at. So it's called energy. So everything is based off mathematics. They understand they can control humanity based on, because we're creatures of habit. So if they can control our habits, they can control us. But energy, where is it at? Let me see. This right here is showing you how. All right, let's see, right. Okay, here it is. Listen to this. Energy is recognized as the key to all activity on Earth. Natural science is the study of the sources and control of natural energy. And social science, theoretically expressed through economics, is the study of the sources and control of social energy. Both are bookkeeping systems, mathematics. Therefore, mathematics is the primary energy science. And the bookkeeper can be king if the public can be kept ignorant of the methodology of the bookkeeping. All science is merely a means to an end. The means is knowledge, the end is control. Beyond this remains only one issue. Who will be the beneficiary? Who will be the person in control? In 1954, this was the issue of primary concern. I think it was a Harvard Research Center conducted on how they were going to control social energy. This is all about how we're going to control society. So the breakdown of the family is one of the ways to do it. I want all the feminists to listen to this. In 1954, this was the issue of primary concern. Although the so-called moral issues were raised in view of the law of natural selection, it was agreed that a nation or world of people who will not use their intelligence are no better than animals who do not have intelligence. Such people are beasts of burden and stakes on the table by choice and consent. This is why I was talking about the beast level. They consider you an animal if, first of all, if you're godless, you are considered on the beast level. They have every right to enslave you. All people who don't believe in God, you are destined to be slaves. Because God is not with you. If God is with you, who is against you? If you don't believe in God, you don't have him on your side. This is Leviticus chapter 25, 45, if you're interested in it. You want to find it and read it. All right? So right here, they're saying, well, what about the morality of what we're about to do? Well, these people don't choose to use their minds anyway. So they have elected, all right, to be beasts of burden by choice and consent. This is what these people are saying, not my words, their words. Let's keep reading. Consequently, in the interest of future world order, peace, and tranquility, it was decided to privately wage a war against the American public with an ultimate objective of permanently shifting the natural and social energy, the wealth of the undisciplined and irresponsible many into the hands of the self-disciplined, responsible, and worthy few. In order to implement this objective, it was necessary to create, secure, and apply new weapons, which, as it turned out, were a class of weapons so subtle and sophisticated in their principle of operation and public appearance as to earn for themselves the name silent weapons. All right? They had to come up with a way to do this surreptitiously without you being aware of what's going on. All right? So let's continue. In conclusion, the objective of economic research as conducted by the magnates of capital, banking, and the industries of commodities, goods, and services is the establishment of an economy which is totally predictable and manipulatable. That is their ultimate goal. They want to be able to totally control the economy and manipulate it at a whim. That is how they're going to control you. That is the ultimate objective. All right? Now, in order to achieve a totally predictable economy, here it is. The low-class elements of society must be brought under total control. Namely, must be housebroken, trained, assigned a yoke and long-term social duties from a very early age before they have an opportunity to question the propriety of the matter. In order to achieve such conformity, the lower class family unit must be disintegrated by a process of increasing preoccupation of the parents and the establishment of government operated daycare centers for the occupationally orphaned children. So, right here, their plan was to destroy your family, get your children in daycare, get your children in public school, and get both of you to work. It was a plan. So every time you say, I want a career, we fought for to be able to have jobs and do all this shit, you just a puppet. You just helping usher in the new world order. That's why you over there on the liberal side. Because the liberals, that's what the Zionists are. That's where the people who control everything. They control all the media. They control all the music. They're trying to make a one world order. And you're assisting them. That's why I'm not with you. It's not because I don't like women or nothing like that. It's just you're against the natural order of things. You're helping to usher. It's order out of chaos. So to bring in the new, they got to destroy the old. So you're part of the chaos and the destruction of the old so they can bring in the new. And in the new world, it's going to be socialism where ain't no families. And your children are going to be assigned a yoke in life from a very early age, meaning that, hey, you were born into a family of garbage collectors. That's all you'll ever be, is a garbage collector. Some of you people know what I'm talking about. You came from caste systems and things like that. I got in India and shit. You know what I'm talking about. That's what they want. And that's what you're helping to usher in because you don't like capitalism. Even though capitalism awards your effort. Capitalism is from God, not socialism. Capitalism. That's why we became the most powerful nation on earth through capitalism. Socialism ain't never worked anywhere because it goes against natural laws. That's why it's never worked. Go look it up. Socialism has never ever worked. And the person who gave it to you was Karl Marx. And he did it intentionally. Who's the guy to tell you y'all came from monkeys and shit? Go look at the nationality of these people and then see whether or not they're giving you information to take you off the right path. They give you information that's bullshit information. You got to wake up and see who your enemy is. And the only way you're going to be able to identify your enemy is you got to know what the laws are. Because how are you going to know somebody getting you to go against one of the natural laws if you don't know what they are? So the person natural laws would be like Mother Nature. But the person who created so it's a masculine and feminine. That's why it's Father God and Mother Nature. It's just that gender thing is in everything because the ultimate source of everything in creation is unknowable and undefinable. But y'all try to anthropomorphize them and make them into your image and after your likeness. When it's just an energy source and nobody can identify because if I ask you what is spirit, not one of you on here can tell me what it is. Just like you couldn't tell me what electricity is. If I ask you what is electricity, you don't know what it is, but you know what it does, but you don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. They just know what it does and what they can do with it. Got my 12-year-old son reading the Federal Reserve Act. That's good. The Federal Reserve Act is the playbook. Once you do enough studying, you'll know when to pause and to look up certain words. Yeah, pause and look up certain words. You know, you got to make, you know what? When you look up words, it make learning interesting. That's why a lot of times y'all not interested in reading because you become bored with what you don't understand. You get bored real quick. But once you pause and look up the words and you understand what's being said, that's what generates interest. Comprehension generates interest. And you get comprehension by understanding the meaning of words. That's why I'm always giving you a definition of a word. Every time I'm on a live, I'm talking about definition of a word. It says, what became of the wife if the husband dies? Does she take charge of him? I mean, in the Bible, what she would do is she would go to his brother or go back to her family. The brother would take over the wife of his brother. Or you go back to your family, go back to your father. I think you can marry again, no? I don't know, it didn't say you marry again. I don't know. You know, I just think, you're not married, Marriage, if you look at in what Jesus said about it, he said if you marry a divorced woman, you commit adultery. And I understand why, because there's an esoteric reason behind that too. It's not, see, that's the thing y'all got to get to understand. When Jesus says something in the Bible, what's the reason for it? It's not just he's like, well, you know what, let's just think of some oppressive ass shit to tell these motherfuckers not to do. That's not it. What these guys are is they are students of natural laws. So when they're telling you things, it's a reason why a woman has a hymen. Y'all don't want to acknowledge that. Oh, she can break easily. A hymen is a seal that Mother Nature put on you because she understood the importance of your womb. You just don't understand it. You pollute it without a second thought. Just like men don't understand the importance of sperm and they would just expend it all over, ejaculate, masturbate, and rub it on tiles and do everything like that. And it's the elixir of light. They don't have no respect for their creative force either. You're just doing things and think it's okay and don't understand how you're damaging yourself. And then you start damaging your spirit, you start having untoward circumstances come your way, but you don't want to apply the responsibility, the true reason why it happened is you, so you play the role of a victim and blame it on something else. So you can never be a god, because a victim can never be a god or a goddess. Because all a victim is a person who refuses to acknowledge his God force. He refuses to acknowledge it. He's in a constant state of insanity because he keeps blaming phantoms for what really he's the reason, he's the ultimate cause of it. Can't be helped. Another reason why I can't go with certain people, if they preach victimization, you know what it's from? It's from the devil. The devil is here to deceive. It's deception. And the only way you can defeat a God is you got to make him believe he's not one. You got to attack his belief system. That's the only way, because there's anything you can conceive and believe you can achieve. So if I got to cripple you, what I'm going to attack? Your belief and yourself. I got to attack that. That's the gateway to godhood, is the belief in self. So what's the importance of circumcision? Circumcision represented your covenant with God when you got circumcised on the 8th day. That was a covenant that the creator of the boundless universe made with the tribe, with Israel, with the Jews. It really don't have nothing to do with you if you're not, a Jew, or you don't follow those laws. Let's just say this: if a Gentile is a person who don't follow the laws, and that's what they teach in the Church of Christ, because they say they're not under the laws no more. They say that Jesus released them from that, even though he says very clearly in Matthew 5:17, think that I not come to destroy the law. I came not to destroy, but to confirm. And he says, not one dot and not one tittle shall in no wise pass away from the law until all things have been confirmed. And anybody who teaches anybody that this shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, he went in on the shit. And don't say everything's been fulfilled, because if it was, he wouldn't have to come back. So y'all have a man named Paul teaching y'all not to come into the law, even though Jesus also said, don't go to the lawless. That was in Matthew 10:5, but he said, go not to the Gentiles and to the Samaritans, but go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel only. That was his last directive to his disciples. He never said go to the Gentiles. But Paul had a miraculous roadside meeting, and then he went to them. That's another story. Don't get in that. I know all about that story too. He said, it wasn't time yet. Because you started talking about Paul. Paul wasn't of the original 12. He was one trying to kill them all. And all of a sudden he had a miraculous roadside conversion. And now he's teaching a doctrine. There ain't nothing that was Jesus was teaching to a people he told you not to go to. The lawless. Pardon my lack of knowledge, but could you clarify what the real courts are? Real courts are, all courts are real courts. What you talking about? That ain't say that. You ain't asking that question right. Are you asking me what a constitutional court is? Because an administrative court is a real court. A military court is a real court. A tennis court is a real court. You didn't ask that question properly. But rephrase that question and ask it to and be precise, because a deceiver deals in generalities. You know that is a maxim of law. A deceiver deals in generalities, a deceiver. Should we start with the status correct? I already said that. I said they're both same thing. They asked me the same question again. I think he asked me the same question. I usually don't answer questions already answered once. I don't understand. You think something's gonna change? I'm not changing shit. I'm gonna say the same fucking thing again that I said the first time. Ain't nothing change. Ain't nothing gonna change. So natural law is also called the royal law, especially in a lawful and legal sense. Royal law is a good phrase to research. Well, I don't know. I like the word natural law. I understand what it's talking about. It's talking about the immutable laws of nature that anybody can observe through observation, can all come to the same conclusion through reason and observation. What is your status should be the more important question. Your status should be private. You listen. I don't even like that. I'm gonna tell you like this. It's you rebutting presumptions. You're already a private citizen because everything in the public is an artificial person. So even when y'all say that, that's not phrased properly. What it is you're rebutting presumptions on the public record that you and the straw man are one and the same. That's status correction. You're severing this presumption that you and the straw man are the one and the same entity, and you're not. That's what you're correcting on the record. You are rebutting, because they operate only through presumptions, assumptions, and color of law. Everything in their law is a presumption and an assumption. You just read their law books. It's probably the most used word in law is presumption and assumption. You're presumed innocent until proven guilty. Silence, if you remain silent, it's going to be presumed that you agree. Everything is a presumption, unless you rebut it. And you can only rebut a presumption with a fact, not another presumption. We all come, it says, we all come to the same, it said, we all come to the same one conclusion, open e-commerce business. You know, whatever kind of business you want. Everybody should have a business. Why you shouldn't even be working with nobody else. Your family is your business. I just said that. Everybody's family is supposed to be a business. You're supposed to be growing something. You're supposed to be building something with your hands, doing something, using your creativity, because God gave everybody on the planet a gift. You're just not using it. You're just not using your gift. To not pursue your gift is an anathema to the soul. You know what the word anathema means? It's an anathema to the soul to not pursue one's purpose. You're ruining your soul. Determinate sentence and void judgment with LOP sentencing. I don't know what LWOP means. I don't know what determinate sentence. I don't know what you're talking about. How do I get back to your membership? Just join right there on the front page. Just sign up. Just go over there and click join. You're gonna love it too. Because we making money over there now. Y'all have no idea what's coming. You have no idea what's coming, man. I'm gonna take over this entire space. But y'all are gonna love it. Y'all gonna love that I did. You're gonna love it. He said, purpose is the product that an individual's presence produces in a specific situation or environment. I like that. 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 That's nice. Now, I want you to stop and pause. You see what he just did? Now, he could write a book and later on it become the Bible. But he's really discussing it's almost something that is connected to natural law and manifestation. But the way he phrased it, I never heard him phrase it like that. You know something is divine when you've never heard it before, but you understand it. You know something is divine when you've never heard it before, but you understand it. You're in touch with divinity. Like, that was divine right there. I had never heard it phrased like that, but it was, purpose is the product that an individual's presence produces in a specific situation or environment. Yeah, I agree with that. Never heard a phrase like that. But what I'm saying by divine, it demonstrates an understanding of a principle. He understands the principle. You know, every urban city is missing black business, and that's why the ghetto, that's why we have so much opportunity. That's all you just saying is opportunity. There's so much opportunity in the black community. Don't say it's stuff missing in the ghetto. That's the negative. You concentrate on the positive. Man, there's so much opportunity in the black ghetto. I see opportunity. I see gentrification opportunities. I see opportunity where we can build new houses. I see opportunity where we can build new schools. I see opportunities where we can make our own grocery stores. I see opportunities where we can put our own police force in. I see opportunity after opportunity. It's an opportunity. Lack is an opportunity. We don't spend money, we circulate our money. You don't spend money. Spend is teaching the subconscious mind that you're exhausting your supply. Circulate means it comes back. It's the energy flow. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. It goes out, it comes in. It goes out, it comes in. It goes out, it comes in. I have a cash flow. You don't spend your money. You don't talk like that. So I was out circulating currency today. So I went out and circulated a little currency today. Went out and circulated, put something circulating. You have to give in order to receive. You have to circulate it. That's why in the communities that have the most money, they circulate their money within their community the most. I think it's the Asians are number one right now. They circulate their money the most. They circulate like I think 18 times before it leaves their community. You have to circulate it. But ours leave our community in, every time we spend money, it leaves our community like in 60 seconds or something. Every 60 seconds, a dollar spent in the black community leaves the black community and goes somewhere else every 60 seconds. Think about that. Think about that. Think about that. All right, y'all, I got to get off now. I hope I was able to motivate some of you, all right, and give you some foundation. You need to get spiritually grounded, especially if you have a criminal case. All right, if you have any type of situation in your life where you're dealing with fear and doubt, because those are the enemies. All right, the only thing that will rectify that is spiritual grounding, because you have to commune with some higher power or a higher aspect of yourself, because we're all one. You know, everything is connected to the one, the all. But if you want to get into a higher aspect of yourself, you got to start communing with the God in you. And the God in you is a law that has an operation, and you learn that operation. How do you manifest things in your life? How do I use the God force? How do I use it? There's mechanics to it. When I learn the mechanisms that make it operate, now I can put it in. Now I can alleviate fear, because now I can operate through assurity, knowing that the laws operate with precision every time. Why do you think a plane can fly? Because if you do it the same way every time, you'll get the same result. That's cause and effect. That's order. How can a battleship float on the water? They all follow in some kind of law. Now I can float in that boat and feel comfortable. I can fly in that plane and feel comfortable. I don't have to have no fear, because I know that I'm obeying the law. There's a saying in the esoteric schools, you know, if you're going to defeat nature, you must first obey her. In other words, if you're going to bring the forces of nature to do your bidding, you must first obey her laws. Surrender is a very good, that's what they say in Islam, surrender. That's what they say, surrender in Islam. You have to surrender to the will of Allah. That's how they say it in Islam, surrender to the will of Allah. It's expressed different ways, brother. That's what I'm trying to say. And y'all be battling with each other, saying some shit. It's just like you don't have an eye to see and an ear to hear, because you don't know the magic key, that the universal key that lets you dissect every religion and what's being said. You got to know the principle. And then that way also you'll know the bullshit. You'll be able to see the devil. You won't be able to see the devil till you understand God. You got to look to understand God before you can understand the devil. Because how you going to know evil if you don't know good? You know? Yeah, you have to submit to the will of Allah. I'm the agent speaking on behalf of the principal. Yeah. That's another way of saying it. That's another agent, principal and agent relationship. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. That's that principal present. Very good. Very good. Oh man, y'all are making me so happy. That just lets me know that I did a very good, did I do a good job explaining this today? I want to ask, because people say sometimes I get too sophisticated in my speech. So I want to know today, was I able to articulate this in such a way that it was digestible to everyone, that it wasn't too transcendent for ordinary capacities, that you were able to, comprehend what was said? Did I do a good job? All right, they give me all the props in TikTok. What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? All right. Yes, you did. Okay. All right, great. All right, I appreciate that. Listen, that's the most important thing I can give you. All right, is the knowledge of self. Okay. The Oracle of Delphi, know thyself unto thyself be true. That's the first law. You have to know thyself. So be real with yourself and then start to root out the negativity in your mind and in your surroundings and in your association. Bad association spoils useful habits. That's in the Bible. Bad association spoils useful habits. All these things in the Bible are just universal principles. Y'all get mad calling it the white man's book. It's not that. It's just the white man went and learned those principles, and now he's ruling you with them, and and you're refusing to acknowledge them. And all this shit go back to ancient Egypt and Samaria. All this go back to Egypt and Samaria. Everything I'm saying right now, go back to Egypt. I'm not talking Christianity. I'm just using the Christianity to help people who are Christians understand what I'm saying. A great teacher is the one that explains the harsh reality that man must overcome to enjoy the fruit of freedom. I like that. I also like that a great teacher doesn't try to indoctrinate something. He tries to extract something. He tries to bring you to a state of realization because all knowledge is already inside of you. That's the reason why you can comprehend it, because it's already in you. But I have to be able to bring in you, to extract it from you. But a person who's trying to indoctrinate you, that's the devil. He's trying to put something in you. He's trying to program you. That's indoctrination. A true teacher helps the student realize something about themselves, bring them to a state of realization. That's a true teacher. Not trying to indoctrinate something in you. All right, so with that being said, I appreciate all you. I appreciate all the donations. I appreciate the donations. I didn't get a chance. I'm doing the little weird live this time. I'm not doing, on my cell phone, because I'm seeing everybody doing it on YouTube, doing the lives. I'm like, well, let me do one of those lives on YouTube like that, And of course, I'm always on TikTok. I didn't take any speak with anybody today. I'll come back. My mouth is my tongue. I injured my tongue actually, so I've been having trouble kind of speaking a little bit. But it's I need to let it rest and heal, because I've been reading those audio books and doing. I've been stretching my vocal cords and all that shit. And, so I see that I need to give my vocal cords a rest and my tongue a rest. I've been talking too much. So no, ladies, don't get the wrong idea. Anyway, peace to the gods and goddesses. I will see you on the next live. All right, I'll hold it down. Keep it locked. You're listening to the hottest radio network on the planet, High Frequency Radio. My name is Yusuf El. Peace to the gods. I'm out.